Hello, hello, hello. Come on in, come on in. Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Gratitude Friday. Welcome to my scope on turning impossible into I'm possible and a bedtime story for tonight. So come on in. Let me go and invite some followers. Followers? Followers? What? Followers? 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 Sorry for the noise, you all. 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 Hello, can you please follow me? Hello, can you please follow over on Ramona Speaks? Over on Ramona Speaks. Okay, so we're back in over here. So I wanted to come in tonight and share with you a Bible story. And this is coming from Matthew, the 19th chapter. And we're going to start at verse 16. And in this chapter, I'm going to be reading from the Message Bible. And this is talking about how to enter God's kingdom. And it's the story about the rich young ruler who came to Jesus, asking him how he can get into the kingdom. And it goes, another day, a man stopped Jesus and asked him, Teacher, what good thing must I do to get eternal life? Jesus said, Why do you question me about what's good? God is the one who is good. If you want to enter the life of God, just do what he tells you. The man asked, What in particular? Well, isn't that like us? We want to know give me the particulars. Don't just tell me I can get in and just do what's good. I need the particulars. So we're like that young man. And it goes on, Jesus said, don't murder, don't commit adultery, don't steal, don't lie, honor your father and mother, and love your neighbor as you do yourself. The young man said, I've done all that. What's left? If you want to give it all you've got, Jesus replied, go sell your possessions. Give everything to the poor. All your wealth will then be in heaven. Then come follow me. Verse 22. That was the last thing the young man expected to hear. And so, crestfallen, he walked away. He was holding on tight to a lot of things, and he couldn't bear to let go. As he watched him go, Jesus told his disciples, do you have any idea how difficult it is for the rich to enter God's kingdom? Let me tell you, it's easier to gallop a camel through a needle's eye than for the rich to enter God's kingdom. The disciples were staggered. Then who has any chance at all? In verse 26, our last verse, Jesus looked hard at them and said, no chance at all if you think you can pull it off yourself. Every chance in the world if you trust God to do it. Wow, 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 wow. One thing I want to point out to you, that eye of a needle, galloping a camel through the eye of a needle. The eye of a needle, I used to think about this as a kid, hearing this Bible scripture, like an eye of a needle. And I was thinking it was a real needle that you use to sew, that you thread the thread through the eye of the needle. But this is a gate in Jerusalem. It's called the eye of a needle because the camel had to bow down on its knees and crawl in through this gate. So that's the eye of the needle this Bible scripture is talking about. So the thing that struck me here in this verse is that A lot of times we come to life wanting to live for God and do all that we can for Him. But the truth of the matter is, we have a lot of things, and I'm going to back this up a little bit so you can maybe see me better. We have a lot of things that are hindering us from coming into God's kingdom. Should have seen me a little bit better there. And those things are things that we hold on to. We want to hold on to things rather than letting them go, rather than surrendering all to God. We hold on to a lot of things. So what are you holding on today that's making it impossible for you to have your treasure in heaven? What are you holding so closely to on earth that your treasure in heaven is in jeopardy? Go through your assets. Go through your life. What's so dear to you that you can't let go? Is it money? Are you seeking money rather than the kingdom of God? Are you seeking relationships or approval from man rather than approval from God? What are you holding on to that makes it impossible for you? Because as the scripture says, I'm going to read that again, where they say, well, who has a chance? And Jesus looked hard at them and said, no chance at all if you think you can pull it off yourself. Every chance in the world if you trust God to do it. And I read to you from Matthew the 19th chapter, and I started at verse 16 and went all the way through 26. And that last verse, verse 26, Jesus is talking to you. He says there's no chance in the world if you think you can pull it off all by yourself. But every chance in the world if you trust God to do it. So I'm trusting God to do everything that I need to do in my life. I'm willing to let go of some things that I've held on to so my treasure can be in heaven. If you have your treasure on earth, then your focus is earthbound. But if your treasure is in heaven, then your treasure has wings. Your treasure has depth. Your treasure has reach. Your treasure has power. Your treasure has authority. For everything in heaven is yours when that's where your kingdom is. That's where your mind is. That's where your heart is. That's where you go first. So if you're building a treasure on earth, if you're trying to do things to just be the best you can on this earth or to get through or to get by on earth rather than actually building your kingdom in heaven by obeying God and trusting in Him, then your treasure is moth-ridden. Your treasure is capable of being stolen from you. Your treasure is that susceptible to all the ills that happen in the world. But when your treasure is in heaven, nobody can touch it. Nobody can take it away from you. So I encourage you to think about where your treasure is. What's impossible for you now because you're not giving yourself the gift of allowing God to help you to do it. So thank you for listening to my Bible story tonight. And now I want to share with you something that I learned. I was sitting in a class. It was actually a woman entrepreneur training program that I went through. And the professor said, what's the difference between this word? And he put up impossible. And so we all looked at the word that he wrote on the chalkboard, impossible. He said, what one thing can you change to make that more than what it is? And we all looked at the word impossible. So if you got a piece of paper, go grab one really quick. Go grab a piece of paper and write the word impossible. IMPOSSIBLE. What one thing can you change to make that meaningful? It's a negative. When you think of the word impossible, you're thinking of a negative. You're thinking of no way. Just like the Bible scripture says, you have no way at all if you think you can pull it off on your own. So what one thing can you change in your life? It's just a matter of one slight change in this word that's going to turn it around. So let me show you what that is. the apostrophe between the I and the M now becomes I'm possible. You like that? Wow, wow, wow. So I made this card after going to that class and thinking about it. And I put these on postcards and gave it to all the women who were in the class. Because that's how I decided that I was going to be possible. Get a screen capture of that. Get a screenshot. So let me share with you. So turning impossible into possible is just adding an apostrophe between the I and the M. So that's one little change that you can do to a word to make it powerful. You turned impossible to I'm possible. What can you do in your life? What one thing can you change in your life to turn an impossible situation into a possible? One thing that I did was that I decided that I was not going to play small any longer. I decided that I was going to take the gifting that God had given me in this earthen vessel, this jar of clay full of treasure, that I was going to pull out those gifts of writing, those gifts of me being able to help people to achieve their goals, to help them to feel encouraged. I have the gift of exhortation to help people to move from where they are, to encourage people, to cause people to feel comforted. And I'm also a teacher. I have a gift of teaching. And I also have a gift of communication. So using all those gifts that God gave me in a more meaningful way that made sense for me, rather than just being a drone and just going through life and drifting, I changed my thought process. Instead of being just an individual contributor, I was going to go after my dreams and start building my own business, start building my own coaching practice, start releasing the words of my creativity, building content. I'm a builder. I'm a builder by nature. I'm a problem solver. So that's what I was called to do. So I had to make the decision that I am enough right now to do it. So I pulled this back out because actually I wrote this in 2005. So wow. About 11 years later, I'm really stepping out on this I'm possible. So I did this acrostic poetry, which the word I'm possible or impossible is down here and it spells out. And I said, I can do all things through Christ. And since this is Gratitude Friday, I'm grateful for all of these things. So actually, as I read this, I'm going to add I'm grateful. I'm possible. I'm grateful that I'm possible. What are you grateful for today on this Gratitude Friday? I'm grateful that I'm possible. I'm grateful that I can do all things through Christ. I'm grateful that through me doing all things through Christ, that I now have a chance in the world. I have every chance in the world, according to Matthew 19:26. I have every chance in the world when I trust God to do it in me and to do it through me. So through God, I'm possible. And I'm grateful that I can now, through God, move mountains. I can now press through difficulties. I can open locked doors. I can sail on streams of grace. I can soar on winds of faith. I can invent and reinvent myself in the moment. I can be all that I am, but cannot yet see. I can leave a legacy of success behind and enjoy the process of journey. I am possible. Are you possible? Can you see yourself differently? Can you stop playing small? Can you change one thing in your life? Can you go to God and find out what He has for you and what you need to let go of, what you need to give up in order for you to have every chance in the world to do the hardest thing that there is to do? The hardest thing that you would ever have to do is to be you, unapologetically, to stand in the power of your gifting, to turn up your light to bright, to turn up your voice to it's a roaring sound in the world, to live and leave a legacy behind you, to leave your legacy and then to live that legacy that you're having to leave. So I hope you got something out of that tonight. I hope you were encouraged. I hope you have some things that you're grateful for. I hope you give yourself the blessing of choosing to change one thing in your life that will turn the impossible to your I'm possible. So, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I look forward to seeing you next week. I'll be scoping Monday through Fridays. My current scope schedule is 9 p.m. I may be looking at that to see if I can come on earlier rather than later, but I'll have to see how that goes. So thank you to my replay viewers, my live viewers, and I forgot to tell you who I was when I started, so hopefully you stayed all the way through. I'm Ramona Jones. I'm an award-winning author. My book, Your Legacy Voice, The Prelude to Your Breakthrough, made Amazon's bestsellers list in the self-help category. So I'm grateful for that too. I'm grateful that I have a best-selling book. I'm grateful for people who can come along and support me. I'm grateful for my mentors. I'm grateful for my teachers. I'm grateful for a lot of things in life. And most of all, I'm grateful for me. I'm grateful that God created me, that He gifted me, and I'm grateful to be stepping out in my gifts. I'm also a poet, as you can see. I wrote this acrostic poem, and I'm also a life coach, a life, an advantage life strategist. So helping you to shift your life. When you're going through trouble and you're coming out on your way to your breakthrough, I help you through that shift in your life. So thank you for joining me again. If you swipe up in my bio, you can click and get the link to my book. I really hope that you would go out and support me because the book is going to be a blessing to you. I share a little bit about how I was playing small in the world and what I used to help me to shift, to make that shift. And I'm still shifting. And I shift on purpose, and I shift in front of you. I shift to shift with you and my whole purpose and my whole passion is as I shift, I want to shift people with me. And my sister, she talked to me today. She called me all the way from Houston, Texas, Angelia. And if you're watching, which she said she was going to be watching, so I appreciate your encouragement that you gave me on this Gratitude Friday. You were grateful that I was in your life and that I've encouraged you. And I love it how you said that, you know, when things are going down, kind of like in a suck hole. I'm trying to paraphrase what you said. Everything is taken down with it. But you told me that as I rise, as I come up out of my troubles, as I come up into my next dimension in life that God is calling me to, that the draft, my upward thrust, is going to suck people up with me. You're going to be caught in my draft, and you're going to be coming up with me. I'm taking people up with me. I'm climbing, I'm rising, and I'm determined to take people up with me. I'm determined not to leave anybody behind. If you want to come, then you can come. I'm encouraging you to come. I'm encouraging you to be for you. I'm encouraging you to say yes to the gifting and the calling upon your life. I'm encouraging you to go for that dream that's been in your belly for so long that you need to give birth to. God is re-breathing on things in our lives. He's coming around again to give us another opportunity. Will you say yes this time? Life is asking a question of you. Life is asking you for something. It's asking you to contribute your whole self. It's asking you to go and excavate your gifts and talents. You have gifts and talents that you have not yet even tapped into. I remember that when I was in like the 6th grade or so, I was introduced to poetry, to actually writing poetry. We were writing haiku and limerick. And I had never been really introduced to poetry. And I never knew I was a poet. I never knew that I had a muse. But as soon as I learned the art of writing poetry, of reading poetry, and we had to write things and turn in, when I began to write that poetry, that gifting in me clicked. It turned on because I had exposure. Where are you limiting yourself from being exposed to great people or great things? That might be the key to unlocking your genius. that might be the key that unlocks the gift that you always had but never knew because you didn't excavate. You didn't give yourself an opportunity to grow. You didn't give yourself an opportunity to be exposed to more than what's in your own backyard. And that's another way of playing small. And if you're introverted, I have some introversion. I kind of like my alone time. I'm good with a book, good with TV, good just with being by myself. But when I get exposed to other people and other things, it broadens my horizons. It broadens me. It causes me to reach for more. It causes me to see more that's possible for me. So I encourage you on this Gratitude Friday, be grateful for the places you've been, but also reach for the greatness that's within you. Reach for the impossible, because there's only one little thing that you need to change that's going to make it. Hi, thank you. Can you tell me your name? Thank you for joining. Can you tell me your name and where you're scoping from so I can say hi to you? Please swipe up and invite your followers, or swipe to the right if you're on the iOS and invite your followers. And please tweet it out. Let people know about this Gratitude Friday. Let people come in on this message, whether you're catching it on replay or whether you join me live. Please share, because it's so important to be grateful for the things in your life. It's so easy to be negative. Negativity is like weeds. You don't have to plant a weed. You look up and it's automatically there. You're like, hey, where did this come from? How did it get here? And if you don't pull it up by the roots, by the root now, it's going to come back. If you just snap it off and you leave those roots of negativity there, just like the root of a weed, it's going to grow. And unchecked, uprooted, it will take over your garden. It's the same way with your thoughts. If you have a negative thought and you just keep ruminating on it, you keep dwelling on it, you let it grow. And the way that we allow thoughts to grow in our minds is to keep thinking about it. Because as you keep thinking about something, and I don't know all the scientific terminology of it, but if you look at the brain, and it's like, when you grow memory on something, it's like growing a tree. So the more memory and the more activities and associations that the brain has with that thing, you are growing like leaves on a tree. You're adding things to the tree. You're adding on to it. So that's why if you study a subject and you study it for a long time, the stronger that memory is in your mind. If you only look at something cursory, it may not stick. But if you continue to study something, it's like growing a tree, and all the leaves on the tree are all the different compartments and elements of that one thing. So I encourage you, if you're thinking negatively about yourself, for you to stop. Start thinking positively. You have to shift your own mind. You have to shift your own thoughts. I had to turn off my other phone from beeping. So I'm encouraging you to be for you. There's one thing that you can do, and maybe that one thing that you can do is to start thinking positively about yourself, to start being grateful for who you are. And I'm doing a mirror exercise. I'm on a challenge to do this for 30 days. I didn't think it was really going to work, but I've found evidence that if you do this mirror exercise every night, where you look in the mirror, and preferably, before you go to bed at the end of the day, look at yourself and talk to yourself in like the second person, and tell yourself what you're grateful for about what you achieved on that day. And then tell yourself that you love you, and stare at yourself and hold your gaze with yourself for about 5 seconds. And if you do that for 30 days, you begin to change your mindset. You begin to think more positively about yourself. You begin to see yourself differently. So I'm on this 30-day journey. And actually, it's good to do it forever and don't stop. Because as I just explained to you, how memories are made. So if you can make memories, good memories about yourself, instead of beating yourself up, then you can actually shift your mind into a more positive state of thinking about you. Because if you reject yourself before other people, and I say that in my book, Your Legacy Voice, the prelude to your breakthrough. If you swipe up, you can click the link there and go and get your copy. I talk about how you can reject yourself before others do. And that's playing small. That's limiting ourselves. So we have to learn how to play full out. We have to learn how to be for us. We're for so many other people, but when it comes to us, why is it that we reject ourselves, that we don't do what's important to help us be healthy and strong and vibrant? You know, it's time for you to be for you. And as I shared in the bedtime story about the rich young ruler, he had thought, hey, I've done everything I need to do. But there was something he was holding on to. His riches were his Achilles heel. His riches was keeping him out of heaven because he had such great treasure here on earth. He didn't have any treasure built up in heaven. So what are you holding on to that's limiting you? What are you trying to do in your own strength? What are you trying to do on your own that you have not asked God's help for? What one thing can you change in your life that can change everything about your life, everything about you? What can you start doing? What can you stop doing and start doing? That's the stop-start. If you stop something, you got to start something else, because like weeds, something is going to take that place in your life, and it could be negative. So you have to be intentional about recreating yourself. And so again, I thank you for joining me. I'm Ramona Jones, life coach, poet, and now Amazon best-selling author. I was on that list for self-help and for my book, Your Legacy Voice, The Prelude to Your Breakthrough. Please swipe up and click the link in my bio and get your copy. And leave me some feedback on what you thought about it. How did it impact your life? And I'm looking forward to speaking again with you on this channel next week. I usually scope Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. That may be shifting as I shift, but we'll see. Right now, I'm just trying to find my groove, trying to find my audience, trying to bring you value, trying to understand what that value is as I excavate my gifts, as I excavate my calling, as I excavate and learn more about what I'm bringing in this season. Who am I becoming in this new season? Because I just came out of trouble as you read my book, Your Legacy Voice, A Prelude to Your Breakthrough. That prelude to your breakthrough is that place when you come out of trouble and you're on your way to your breakthrough. There's that valley experience. There's that dark place, that desert place, a place that you have to come through to take off all of the ill feelings, take off all of the rejection or the unforgiveness or anything that you have to deal with to purge. You want to leave all that mess in the valley, because you want to be able to go up your mountain and to move your mountain and to get around your mountain. Any way the mountain moves and get out of your way, you want to stand on top of your mountain and you want to get to the other side of the breakthrough. So you have to travel light. You can't climb a mountain with all kind of heavy gear. Even in the natural, you wouldn't climb a mountain with all kind of extra baggage. So it's the same thing for your life. You can't climb and move the mountains in your life if you have too much baggage on you. So I'm encouraging you to leave some stuff in the valley that's not going to be important for your breakthrough. When you get to the other side of your breakthrough, who do you need to be? That's what my book talks about. Who do you need to be on the other side of that breakthrough? So you have to start becoming that person now. You can't wait until you get to the other side of breakthrough. It's too late then. Because breakthrough, when you get to breakthrough, that's the time to build. So you have to bring some tools with you. And your tools are coming out of your trouble. The tools are coming out of your mess. That's what you need on the other side of breakthrough. So I'm encouraging you to really look for that one thing, at least one thing that you can turn the impossible into impossible. Again, this is a little poem that I wrote, an acrostic poem. That one little thing, take the word impossible and make one little change to it that's going to change you from impossible to possible. So remember, there's something that you can do, something that you must do to turn the impossible into I'm possible. And before I go, I'm just going to read the poem one more time. I'm possible. And the acrostic spells out impossible. And these are my affirmations. These are the things that I'm grateful that I can do through Christ that's going to make me possible. So hope they bless you. I can do all things through Christ. Move mountains, press through difficulties, open locked doors, sail on streams of grace, soar on winds of faith, invent, and reinvent myself in the moment. Be all that I am, but cannot yet see. Leave a legacy of success behind and enjoy the process of journey. I am possible. You are possible. This has been Ramona Jones, poet, best-selling author, life coach, Vantage Life Strategist, your sister in the journey, loving you, encouraging you to find that one thing that you can change in your own life that turns your impossible into your I'm possible. I'm encouraging you to be grateful. And we should be grateful every day. And if you do that mirror exercise every night, at least for 30 days, and I encourage you to make it a lifetime habit, then you can change your mindset. You can shift who you are. I encourage you to do that. Okay, well, you have a blessed night. I love you, and bye-bye. Mwah. Love you all.